Start this, go ahead and commence the meeting. We'll go ahead and do roll call, please.
Member Sanchez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Johnson, Mayor Farr, Councilmember Calderon,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts.
Here.
All right, we will move on to flag salute. Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move on to community participation. Members of the public may address the city council matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to make a remark? No? Okay. A consent agenda, there's none, and we will go ahead and move on to public hearing. Public hearing for discussion of city application to the state of California CDBG program and 8-step decision-making process for executive order 11988 and 13690.
Councilmember Sanchez and council members, we do have a representative here from Housing Tools that's been assisting the city with the CDBG funding application that we have before you for consideration today. I'd like to introduce Sherry McCann.
Thank you. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. As Elisa mentioned, my name is Sherry Mercado with Housing Tools, and I'm going to ask the clerk if you could pull the PowerPoint presentation up. I'm going to start with just a few of the slides, and then I'm going to turn it over to your city engineer. So I'm basically going to cover the kind of the initial part where we're going to be talking about the CDBG application itself. Next slide, please. So again, today's hearing is to talk about the city's application to the state of California CDBG program and the necessary 8-step decision-making process we had to go through because of the National Environmental Protection Act. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. So today's purpose is to hold a public hearing to receive comments on the city's proposed application for CDBG funds. We'll be asking the council to adopt the resolution that authorizes the CDBG application and then to approve the floodplain management 8-step decision-making process. Next slide, please. So as we described in our staff report, city staff is proposing that the city submit an application to the State Department of Housing and Community Development, referred to as HCD, for a CDBG grant to help defray the costs associated with the construction of the Laurel Street extension. So when we refer to the project, that is the project we're referring to. Applications are due to HCD no later than April the 3rd. And the city can apply for up to $3.3 million in CDBG funds for this project. The funding limitations are set by HCD depending upon the project type that you have. And so for a public facilities construction project, $3.3 million is the limit. And because CDBG funds are federal funds, although you're applying to the state of California, they actually get the money from the feds. So the identity of the funding is federal. The city is required to complete an environmental review under NEPA prior to the application. So that's why that 8-step process was necessary. Next slide, please. So the complete environmental review record under NEPA is attached to your staff report. And because the city lies within a 500-year floodplain, we only have a 0.2% annual chance of a flood, but nonetheless, that's what FEMA shows. The city was required to undertake an 8-step decision-making process per executive orders 11988 and 13690. And basically what that means is this process has the 8 steps, but we had to conduct an evaluation of alternatives to this project site, identify any impacts, and then identify mitigation measures. And that's what we've done in coordination with your city engineer. And given the process, staff does recommend approving the project with the mitigation measures that have been identified.
Excuse the interruption. Claire, can I just make sure that we are showing the presentation on Zoom as well?
Yeah.
Oh, it is? I think you have to do screen share for the record.
Screen share. I mean, usually when I do it, it's just like this. I'm not entirely sure if it'll, yeah.
So
It's okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We'll just do that. Okay.
So.
Well, he's been helpful.
No problem, thank you. Briefly to go over the timeline, as I indicated, the application is due to HCD by April the 3rd. Award letters are expected to be issued in September, so HCD will take basically the entire summer to go through all of the applications that they receive from jurisdictions statewide and make their decisions. You go to the next slide. Thank you. And then once the award letters are issued, the state will start to issue what is called a standard agreement. And that's actually the commitment of the CDBG funds to the city. And those will start on a rolling basis beginning in October of 2026. Okay. So once you receive, if everything goes well and you're awarded the funds and you receive your standard agreement, then the grant funds have to be fully expended within 2 years and 9 months from the date of the execution of that standard agreement. So just a little under 3 years to get the project completed and fully expend the funds. And then I know that Dave can talk a bit more about this, but if the grant is awarded, construction is likely to occur in the spring of 2027 following the city bidding processes. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave to explain the project itself.
yeah, so hi, council. So in front of you have our 60% draft plans. I thought those might be a little easier to just kind of look at, but we'll give you an overview here. So what you're looking at is the aerial with project limits from Randolph to the new Pacific Flyway housing development. They are a lower income housing, which is why we're eligible for this grant. So that's our focus, is connecting that, creating that connectivity to that low income housing. Some of the design elements. So one of the things we're going to be doing is putting these curb ramps on View, so View already has sidewalks all the way up to Sycamore. So our goal here is really to direct pedestrians that direction. On the south side of the project, we will extend the sidewalk out to Randolph, but we start short of a curb ramp or any kind of crossing there because we don't have any sidewalks on Randolph, on Laurel. So another sidewalk to nowhere, as we see in town, especially as we get to the outskirts of town. We just don't have the sidewalks. So again, we really want to try and, make it more accessible going up View to get to Sycamore and then into town that way. So that's kind of the plan. On the bottom right here, you can see we have to actually extend our sidewalk a little bit further up View than we originally thought, because there's a driveway, and in order to make the grades for ADA access, we just have to demo a little further, a little bit more of the sidewalk to make those grades. Again, just trying to give you a representation of what we're looking at. On the top one there, kind of where the barricade is, that's where we intend to stop we'll have the curb come around. We will leave curb and gutter, even on Randolph, and I think the next slide shows that, just to help direct cars so that they're not driving off the pavement. But we will be stopping the sidewalk there. So your plans show it currently as being part of the project. We'll probably leave it as an alternate bid in case our bids come in low and we have the funds to create more sidewalk, but we're balancing that fine line of design and funding. And so if that's a piece of the project that we can't fund, that's where we've decided it'd be the best to take off some sidewalk, because again, it's not really taking pedestrians anywhere other than, a street and the sidewalk. So, okay, so this is Randolph. I don't think it looks like this currently because they were using truck traffic. So this is a Google Earth image from, a couple of years ago. So obviously the barricade will go away. We'll relocate the telephone pole. Again, I'm looking at the bottom right. And then we'll have curb and gutter there again, just to kind of direct traffic, keep them from rolling off the edge of the asphalt. It also protects the asphalt from water damage over the years, so we'll get a longer life out of the road. And then on the north end of that, again, it'll be a pretty sharp turn. just coming onto Laurel just because of existing right of ways and things. So I don't know if we have other photos. So just a blown up version of some of the plan sheets that are in front of you. What you're looking at the top here is on the left, we're connecting to the Pacific Flyway. They only had 4-foot sidewalks. I think we're bumping ours out to 5, might even have been 6, a little bit wider. Just because there's not a lot of houses along this stretch. And if there's a school that's going to be there eventually, we'd like to have a little bit wider sidewalk. We had the right of way width to be able to accommodate that. And then we're also planning ahead for the future Edler Estates. That road, right now they call it Street 4, going to the south. Again, if we can build the curb ramps and the crosswalks now, make sure it's all ADA. It is providing some benefit to the future development. But again, it kind of protects our road, the investment we're making now from having to be cut up and, pipes put in later, which causes a lot of damage to the roads, sidewalks. So, yeah, so again, just continuing down, it's pretty straightforward. And then, that's really it as far as the overview of the project. So if you guys have any questions, I can answer them.
Yeah, I have a question about the infrastructure, which we might not be there yet, but all the properties that are along the Laurel Street extension and more on the view side, on the north side, do they need to be notified? And also do we need to take any right of way seizure, or I don't know if that's the right word, of their property, or if we're gonna be building out
Yeah, we're building out from them.
from that?
We will make notification. It's a little premature. We don't even know if we're gonna get the grant right now. But we're not impacting any of their properties at this time. The guy on the corner of Randolph and the new Laurel Street, he's got the closest kind of, tying in. So, but all the tie-ins are within existing right of way. So technically, we don't have to do any notification. We will, obviously, when we get closer to construction, kind of good neighbors, right? Let them know. I will say that the one on Butte View on the west side, there's some trees planted on the outside of their fence, which is technically in that right of way. It wasn't even on their property. It's on the property that we'll be acquiring. So we'll have to remove those. They're accounted for in the plan. They were accounted for as part of NEPA. We haven't notified them yet because again, we're just in that design phase right now. But again, being good neighbors, be like, hey, trees are gonna be cut down.
Yeah, maybe sooner rather than later, in case they are upset or
Yeah.
we need to have a conversation about that.
We can do that. Again, it's just trying to get to the delivery date of the grant has been the full focus of everything right now. We have a lot of resources to make it happen, so.
Any other questions from the council?
No, Randolph. I have questions on Laurel.
Well, you can ask any other questions about design right now?
But I met with a couple of residents.
Uh-huh.
They're my neighbors basically, and I live around the corner. And that Laurel Street between Randolph and Idaho is in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
Really bad shape. And the initial complaint was actually about the trucks driving through there and making the street. Well,
They beat it
a lot more, a lot of difficulty to actually travel. Kids playing around, that sort of thing. So I like to know if there's gonna be any improvements on that street between Idaho and Randolph.
Not as part of this effort. So this effort's directly creating that connectivity between the low income housing and the rest of town to provide that extra access. I understand that then they have to traverse Laurel into town, if they're not going up to Sycamore, but there's just not enough funding to build a new road and repair the old one. What we have been talking about in the office is extending it to at least cover the entire intersection right there, because even that intersections, we've got like one half of it's okay. It was more recently paved with the sewer line, and then we've got part of it that's just really bad. So we are looking at putting at least more asphalt in that intersection, but there's no plans to take it down.
You must understand that this is a new stressor for this residents
Yes,
on this strip of on the street. So they're a little nervous. I'd like maybe the city to ensure that they are going to be okay, you know, that's important for them.
That's something we could look at we have what's called the pavement management for another topic, and we can address the areas in the city when we look at our pavement management plan. And we can address that at that time on which areas we want to focus on and which ones are most urgent. And so depending on where the activity is and what the recommendation is by our engineer and our public works director, that's probably, those are the areas that we'll work on when we go into pavement management. And that's where we would look at these areas that were just now.
Yeah, I brought up concerns last year. That was one of the residents. I had two more, and one of them is a friend of mine. So I just wanted to work, bring her concern to the city.
Well, to follow up on Councilmember Calderon's question about, so you said that you're gonna repave the intersection at Idaho and Laurel or Randolph?
Randolph and Laurel.
Sorry.
Yeah, because originally it was just gonna kind of come up to the center line. And as I looked at it, I'm like, it's in really bad shape as we go across the center line. And it, to me, it just, you know, with the additional traffic that we're creating there, it just we have a lot of utilities, valves and manholes and everything. So it just needs to be, you know, done properly. And then that way, again, we get a good life out of it. Otherwise, it'll just get beat up even faster. So.
Any other questions or comments from council? From staff? All right, I'll open it up for public comment on item number 1. Seeing no one present and no one to be making any comments, I will entertain a motion on item number 1. Remember, there's about 4 things too.
You just read them directly, so it's off of the words.
I'll make the motion to hold a public hearing to receive comments on the city's proposed application for community development block grant funds and adopt resolution 2026 R009 resolution of the city of the council approving the application for funding and the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto from the 2025 funding year of the state CDBG program, and approve the floodplain management 8-step decision-making process per executive orders 11988 and 13690. And authorize the city administrator to execute the necessary documents.
Motion's been made and seconded. Councilmember Calderon,
Yes.
Mayor Barr, Vice Mayor Johnson, Councilmember Robert.
Yes.
Member Sanchez? Yes. All right, record passes. Items for consideration, item number 2, right-of-way acquisition strategy, Laurel Street Extension Project. This is informational.
So, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to inform you guys about the right-of-way acquisition. I've been working with the city attorney with the developer, James Ratliff. And so the process moving forward is they have made an irrevocable offer of dedication, which has been recorded with the county. I believe we included a copy of that in the staff report. That will carry with the land. We, at this point, because of the funding and the NEPA process, we can't actually have the land dedicated until we get that NEPA authorization and the allocation of funds. There's can't remember what they call it, but it's basically not allowed. So what we've done by doing this irrevocable offer of dedication is the city can go and basically accept that dedication at any point in the future. So it locks it in. No matter what happens, if this falls apart, there's always going to be a Laurel Street extension possible in the future. And so that's where we're at with that. And then once it does funding, we'll bring it back to council for acceptance of that dedication, at which time it'll become right away.
Any questions or comment from city council? I'll open it up for public comment. Seeing none. That adjourns our meeting today. That's our agenda.
Wow, 20 minutes.
You
I know, it's, no, it's so bad. You done making fun of me?
I only have one. I wanted to kind of go over HR.